Hello, I am back. I'm back because we got to talk Doctor Who. I am Tasha Pierce, your host, and we've been doing this. We've been doing this weekly since Doctor Who came out. And look, I have been so excited to talk Doctor Who. Like every week, the excitement meter just went up higher and higher and higher. I have been truly where I was, truly looking forward to I'm trying to fix lights here. I was looking forward. Let me see if this works here. I think that's a little better. I was looking forward to this finale. Hey Norman. Hi, where Grace it has. It's been too long, darling. It's been too long, sir. Oh, what? 15, 20 minutes? But Norman, it's good to see you in the chat. Yeah, I've been excited. That's all I've been talking about is freaking Doctor Who. I've been so excited to see this finale. And then RTD did this to me. Now look, I know that it is subjective. We are not going to all feel the same way about this finale. But I didn't like it. Okay, that's me being harsh. I'm being harsh. Can't say I didn't like it. What I can say is the exact point that RTD was probably making when he made Ruby who she was, which is we have assigned, or we, by we I mean me, have assigned so much importance to this character that finding out this character is not as important as you thought he or she was is almost like it's a letdown, because I had written the end of this in my mind, or at least something. I had written something in my mind, and I'm like, oh, it could be this. And then I look at everybody's theories, and I'm like, oh, it could be that. And I'm so excited to see what it is. And then it turns out it's nothing. It is nothing. It's a message. Stop getting ahead. Enjoy the ride. Stop getting so far ahead. But I can't do that. It's physically impossible for me to stop thinking ahead, especially when you leave me little breadcrumbs and clues that make me say that there is something to this or that. And then we find out there's nothing. It's a big old nothing burger. It's nothing of importance. And yeah, here we go. Like Norman said, like most part twos, it's a letdown. And look, I don't even feel like that 100% of the time. Sometimes I feel like that second part really nails it. This ain't that. This ain't that. When Grace is saying we didn't assign her that importance, literal gods within the show were scared of her hidden powers. Take it all the way back to at least Maestro. I can remember that. Maestro was like, something about you, girl. Something about you. I can't even figure it out, but it's something about you. And to me, that meant that there was something special about her. And then Sutekh is like, oh shit, it's something, I gotta know how this ends. Sutekh was me hanging on to the TARDIS for 50 years, trying to figure out how this ends. And I don't know, maybe we didn't get to ask Sutekh how he felt about this. But spoiler alert, it was nothing. It was nothing. Okay, so now that we have ascertained that Tasha was not completely satisfied with the way this mystery box unraveled, let's just talk about the episode, and maybe let's talk about what worked about the episode. Do you guys have anything about the episode that you feel like worked better than other parts, or worked for the finale? Or if you feel like you've got something, let me know. Hey there, Justin. I'm glad you made it back. For me, we got a whole bunch of Disney in this, right? And this is again, this is just how I see it. I could be wrong. It looked like, you remember when y'all did that crazy thing in Avengers Infinity War when everybody turned to dust? I'd like to recreate that in Doctor Who. And it's like, great. How are we going to do it? The exact fucking way y'all did it in Avengers Infinity War. And you know what? What else I also like? I also like the fact that Rey from The Last Jedi, everybody was trying to figure out where her lineage was and who her parents were. And turns out they're nobody. I like that. How would you like to use that, RTD? The exact fucking way that y'all did in Star Wars. So here we are. We got a Disney influence. And those parts didn't bother me so much that we're seeing the Avengers Tower, now unit headquarters. We're seeing these things in Doctor Who, and it's not bothering me. It's just letting me know that there's some money behind this thing now. And if it wasn't money before, which I don't know, because I never broke down Doctor Who like I'm doing now. Now they're saying, okay, we're going to put some money behind this. We got this special effects budget. Let's use it. So did I like the fact that Sutekh's acolytes were spreading his death dust across the world? It works for Sutekh. Sutekh didn't do an awful lot that made me fear him in this episode. We do realize that he's a powerful character, but to know that he's been hanging on to the TARDIS for 40 some years is just, to me, yeah, they could have came up with something better than that, right? They could have came up with something better than that. Now, some of the things that I liked Ncuti in his indignation scene when he became indignant at the fact that Sutekh was spreading, came here to spread death, and that him being able to do that hinged totally on the Doctor. Wherever the Doctor landed, a Susan Twist appears, and there is an acolyte of Sutekh on that planet now. And we saw planets fall because of these twists in the end. And I guess I liked that. Let's see, Norman. Ooh, Norman, you're bringing up the snow. The snow should have explained my solution, since the TARDIS was somewhat around. Was it provided snow when Ruby remembered that protected her and the Doctor? I'm not 100%. The snow should have explained because the TARDIS knew Sutekh's curiosity is, oh, yeah. So the Sutekh is so freaking curious, he's just gonna hang around until he finds out what the hell Ruby Sunday is. And there were bigger mysteries, a real mystery, one at least, in this season, but we were so focused on that Ruby mystery, and Sutekh was too, I suppose. Sutekh wanted to know exactly what we wanted to know. Sutekh has been watching Doctor Who for the past 40 years because he's been hanging on to the TARDIS. He has been watching Doctor Who for 40 years, and he was like, now look, this one is different. He doesn't know how this one ends yet because it hadn't ended yet. So he had a theory, a fan theory probably, and it didn't turn out right for him because now Sutekh is dead. Oh gosh, I don't know. When Gray says, I like that snow idea, except I don't know who it would work in 73 yards when, I don't know how it would work in 73 yards when the TARDIS was mostly dead 100 miles away. Yeah, I don't. It's still questions. And to me, for instance, we know the doctor stepped into the circle. Was that what happened to the doctor in 73 yards, or could it have been something else? Is there still a mystery surrounding Ruby's parentage? Don't know. Her daddy's name was her daddy's name William? Could he be that William? You know, that like, could that William be put in history to be her dad? It's so many questions that I've got, and I just don't understand. I don't understand what happened with half of the season, because it was so Dr. Light. We had full episodes where we see Ruby, and we can see that there is something supernatural surrounding her, specifically that 73 yards her. What the fuck? I don't know. I don't even know how to talk about this episode, because I was so blatantly confused and disappointed at some of the choices that were made. Doctor Who does have serious money behind it now. Norman says it might be William might be the person that we need to be concerned about. William may have paranormal abilities for all we know. Her mother was normal. What about her father? Exactly. Who is the daddy? Who is he? Well, she's going to meet him, and that's when she and the doctor kind of separated ways, which that even felt a bit lackluster, because not for 1 second do I believe that he is through with Ruby and her story. And okay, so she's going to meet her daddy. He's looking like, yeah, go meet your dad. Like he knows something about the dad, but I don't know if he knows something about the dad, because I thought he knew something about Ruby. And come to find out, I was wrong about that. I was wrong. He didn't know anything about Ruby. There's nothing special, except we thought she was special. Shit. And I agree, Win Grace. We were we were taken for a ride in this season. And I'm wondering if there could have been more to the story, and we just didn't get it because this is such a short season compared to seasons past of Doctor Who. Could this have benefited from two, at the absolute least, 2 more episodes? Probably, because again, an 8-episode season, and maybe 2 or 3 of the episodes were Dr. Light, Companion Light, or Doctor ain't doing much, and that boom. Could that be it? Do we just need more episodes to tell a full story? Because this was a good story to me. I even like the episodes that everybody else didn't like. I like Space Babies, and I like that the Devil's Court. I liked both of those episodes more than most people, or I ain't gonna say most, more than a lot of people. And I liked everything up until this resolution. Let me see. Martha, Danny, Ryan, and Graham left on their accord only. Only Yaz, I'm sorry, left on their accord. Only Yaz has been suggested that is it like this, like Ruby of the modern era. That is, the doctor asked them to leave. So yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not feeling and I don't want to just sit here and trash this show, and I'm not going to trash it, because it up till the Ruby reveal, I thought it was okay. Did it look more cinematic in this last episode for you? I know they played it on the big screen in the UK, but did we get like huge production value in this episode. So of course, that's something that we can like about the episode. And I enjoyed how pretty some of the scenes were, and the punctuations with Shooty when he was upset that basically he's saying, Sutekh, you're gonna force me to kill you, dude. This is not how I quote unquote operate, doctor, operate. Y'all get it. So he's saying, okay, this ain't how I operate, but you have forced me to do this, and I'm gonna make the executive decision right now that I got to take your life, and then I have to reverse all the things that you've done. Now, okay, wait a minute. I saw yours first, Norman, before I saw Justin's. Justin says, yeah, it needed more episodes for a season. These shorter seasons make it hard to tell an overall story arc. 8 episodes ain't enough. I hope they've learned that. We need 10. And it's Doctor Who. It's not like this is a Star Trek, or I'm sorry, a Star Wars series coming on Disney Plus, and it may be hit or miss, and we don't know if people are going to like it. People like Doctor Who. Doctor Who has a fandom. They're going to watch Doctor Who, and if you give us 10 episodes and give us 10 good episodes, then all the way up until Christmas, we'd be talking about how great that season was. But instead, now, what's going to be on my mind all the way up until Christmas, when we get the Christmas episode, is how we flubbed that resolution. In my book, it's a flub. In my book, it was not, it wasn't satisfactory, wasn't. Norman said Mrs. Flood is starting to bug him, because Mrs. Flood should have been our mystery box for the whole season. She should have been the person who we were trying to figure out. I mean, we did give it some, and also pay attention to who ain't here. We had some people who have been here every week, and then this week they like, I'm not even, because it's just not a good talk right now to me. But okay, Mrs. Flood should have been our mystery box. Mrs. Flood should have been the person that we were trying to figure out the entire season. And there are still people who have their opinions about who she may be, and they got a little bit more to go on. But of course, getting stuff to go on doesn't seem to be worth anything, because they give us some things to go on and then go in an entirely different direction than what they've given us. You've given us this, so this is what we're thinking. Doesn't mean we have to be right, but you give us this shit, and then it's so far away from what you've given us. It's hard to say that you didn't intentionally mislead your audience. It's the Ruby thing. So it makes the Mrs. Flood thing seem like, is this going to be more of the same? That's the way I feel. Justin liked the big picture feel. He felt like it felt really, really cinematic. Justin also says 10 is just enough to make a good season, but I'm more in for a 12 or 13 episode season to really make things work well. And Norman says it was not Ruby's mother or Sutekh, but it was Mrs. Flood all along. Mrs. Flood is probably Mephisto. I mean, we got Infinity War. We got Last Jedi. And we got some Avengers vibes. Just from being in the headquarters. I'm not going to never not see Avengers Tower. I'm not going to ever not see that, because I know what that is. So now we got to wait. Now we got to wait till Christmas episode to see where things is going next year. And even if we find out where things are going, are we going to be as invested? And I know I'm not. I'm going to still hopefully, um, if I'm here, and if if all things are equal to right now, I'm going to still do the week by week um stream and conversation. But I don't know if I'm going to be as excited as I was this year. It first and foremost, it was just exciting to me to have access again to new Doctor Who episodes as they were coming out. So of course, I want to throw my hat behind the series, and whatever conversations that I can keep going of Doctor Who, I'm going to try to do that, because we need to talk about these things to make sure that they don't think that we are taking them for granted. But I'm not going to be as invested ever again. Never again. Norman says, is Mrs. Flood a Time Lord is the question, but not Susan. Okay, here's what I have heard from people who know a whole lot more about Doctor Who than me. And that is, there are two characters that she could potentially be. And the number one was the Rani, Rani, because of the play on words. And we know that RTD likes to play with words. So Flood, Rani, anagram for rain. All right. But then there was also this white guardian, or if you know what I'm talking about, drop it in the chat. I am trying to look it up to make sure I'm saying the right character. The White Guardian is more accurately called the Guardian of Light and Time, and shown to be the what? I don't know. Wait a minute. Just I don't know if that was a mosquito. See, yeah. And that's why I don't even like bringing the burn up, because the burn was like the who would you set all these dominoes in motion, and then you gave us the burn, and that's the way I'm feeling about Ruby's mama right now. Now, Ruby's mama, she might be a very nice woman. I don't know Ruby's mama for real. All I do know is that her reveal was a disappointment. uh Justice says, I'll never say I'm not invested if the story is good. I mean, I'm not, because you don't know that the story is good and the ending is going to be straight and everything. You don't know all of that till the season is over. The story is great, and you get all into it, and you start thinking about where this thing might be going, and then they take you off an exit, take you to a goddamn sundown town. You get there and get your butt kicked. This is how I felt. This is how I felt after this episode. That, like I said, there were things that worked. There were things that I liked. Just the big thing, I just feel like it fell flat. Oh my goodness, I see the word burn again. Norman says oh no, we talked about that. And constructive criticism is going to be known from Justin. Yes, the story isn't good. Wingray says, I really hope they've already filmed the Susan reunion after teasing it at the end here, while we still have time. That would have been, it just seems like it was such a missed opportunity to not bring her this season. Especially since, life is short and nobody is promised tomorrow. So I hope that we've got enough done, if we're going to have him reunite with Susan, that we've done it already, like Wingrave says, because we could miss that opportunity. I don't talk about the burn. Nope. What is that? What's the burn? Hey, Clarence. And Clarence is saying, felt very burnish. You know, if the shoe fits. You know what, Winggrace, you're right. It could be a very Susan Christmas, especially since Christmas is a time to be with family and loved ones. And maybe that will be the reason why the doctor goes to visit his granddaughter after he learns that, she's still here and he can go see her. Maybe that'll be what he does at Christmas time. Crossing our fingers. Everybody saying their greetings in the chat. Look, I don't know what else to say about this episode. So you see why I was so excited to talk about. I had already had everything prepared. I was so excited to talk about Doctor Who. That ending, it didn't do it for me, And I got to the point where I was more excited to talk about the boys than I was Doctor Who this week. And we almost talked. If I would have had more time, we would still be talking about the boys. Had a really good chat. And look, see, I'm doing it now. Let's not talk about the boys. Let's talk about Doctor Who. But just know that the chat was lively about the boys. What about the memory TARDIS, the Dust World Lady, and Mel? Okay, the memory TARDIS, Miss Powell called that. She called that a couple of weeks ago. She said we were going to see the memory TARDIS. I didn't know what the memory TARDIS was, so I brought it up in Clarence and Kyle and all of them and discussing Who in their chat, and nobody bit. So I was like, maybe Miss Powell is reaching, because I don't know what the damn memory TARDIS is. But turns out Mrs. Powell was right. Like, Mrs. Powell was right again. And I that's another thing I love. I appreciate the ideas that get thrown out here. We're going to take them seriously until they're not serious anymore, because I have some too. But that was a good call. I love this chat because it is so underrated, the stuff that you guys come up with. Clarence hated the memory TARDIS, didn't like that one bit. And look, I mentioned the memory TARDIS. It didn't do anything for me one way or the other. It kind of made things a bit confusing. I did see things that were supposed to evoke memories from Doctor's past, and I enjoyed that part of the memory TARDIS. But I haven't watched it again. So I watched it once, and I sat there with my mouth agape for about 10, 15 minutes, just sitting there like I had just been lobotomized. So I didn't watch it again. That's also saying a big thing, because I watched all of these episodes multiple times, except for this one. So maybe if I watch it again, the memory TARDIS part will make more sense to me. But specifically because I didn't know what the memory TARDIS really was, it was cute. It didn't mean nothing. Except for Clarence is saying, hey, it made no sense. And you know what? I can agree with that. I can agree with that. It made no sense to me. And I'm like a person on the outside, but Clarence talks about this weekly. He talks about Doctor Who weekly. And if it made no sense to him, then it probably just didn't make sense, Yeah, Clarence, this heat, my if I was to bring my babies in here, their faces are just scaled over. It might be a heat rash, could be something they ate, but that's something. That's why I'm gonna rush on through this. I didn't do this to the boys. Now took my sweet buttermilk time with the boys, but I'm gonna rush on through this because I have to keep my eye on them to see if this is like a heat rash or if it's something that they've eaten. Anyway, Norman says Susan Twist's existence exists concurrently in the same time. Both the high teacher and the hiker in 73 yards. Is she natural or manufactured? like her ganger in Who terms. I think that she is unnatural. I think she's a manufactured being. Sutekh said that he manipulated something to create Susan Twist and place a Susan Twist in each one of the timelines that the Doctor had stopped in. Sutekh had all kinds of shit going on behind the scenes, and the Doctor didn't even know he was hanging on to the TARDIS. That's another thing. The Doctor, for all of these years, for 40 years, you didn't know that Sutekh was hanging on to the TARDIS. It almost makes the Doctor into an imbecile. I don't know. It looks like the clown TARDIS. Don't beat me up, guys. I love Doctor Who. And I know you love it, but we got to be honest. Ticker, not teacher. Okay. The high ticker and the hiker, I don't know. I'm confused, but I don't think she's a real person. I think she is a manufactured being. Tecker, got you now. See, high tecker. It all makes sense. 85 degrees and breezy in Pennsylvania, but it was in the upper 90s and humid for the last 7 days. My family is dealing with that. They're in the Midwest, and that's why it's hot here in Texas. However, the infrastructure up north is not built for this, and I'm so concerned that yeah. And I'm praying for y'all, just like you're praying for everyone. I'm gonna keep y'all on my thoughts and prayers. Yeah, she's a manufactured being, but she sprang into existence with a fully formed life, memories, all of that. That's why at the end she was like, I am still Susan Twist, or whoever she, Susan Triad, or whoever she is in this timeline. I think that's who she's going to be. And hopefully we'll see more of her. I don't think that they would give her a job with UNIT if we weren't going to see her again. And how many job openings does UNIT have? I guess when you have what is her name? Harriet Arbinger passed away. So I guess there's a job opening, right? Oh, what Wingrave said. Go back up here and look, because I don't remember. What about the memory of the Dust World Lady? The Dust World Lady, I liked and I didn't like. It felt kind of disjointed because it was another one of those things that make us think that's Ruby in that bassinet. At least that's what I thought. I thought that I got pushed in the direction of thinking that Ruby was going to be that lady's baby, and it wasn't. And yeah, okay. And what was the last thing that Wingrave said up here? And Mel, I've seen some people be bothered by Mel. I thought Mel behaved. I thought she behaved like a male in this episode. She was quiet and reserved because the Doctor and his new companion are ripping and running, and there's things that go with just them in their story. And Mel sat to the side and waited for her turn, but her turn turned her into an acolyte of Sutekh. And I liked the fact that she fought that programming. Sutekh had gotten in her head that she fought that programming. I guess she had been around Susan Triad for so long that she had been infected by the Sutekh virus. Talk about one who waits. Sutekh. Yes, Sutekh was waiting. Sutekh, 40 years, dude. So you mean to tell me the plan that he enacted in this season had been 40 years in the making? Sutekh, and actually could be longer than that, because again, we're talking timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff. it could be what feels like centuries could have passed for Sutekh hanging on the outside of the freaking TARDIS. And this is the plan? This was your grand master plan? Wingray says the best thing about this episode are the memes of the time Sutekh was just chilling, just out the way. You know, and I saw some of the things that you guys had put in the Discord. I hadn't been in the Discord very much today or yesterday. I lost a cousin, went in for surgery and did not make it out. And to make matters worse for that particular cousin, 2 weeks ago, his daughter passed. So that's two, that's a lot. So I've been in my own head. And that's another reason, I guess, I'm like, I don't have the bandwidth to watch Doctor Who again. But it wasn't, to me, it wasn't a rewatchable episode. Just wasn't for me. And maybe eventually I will be able to set my feelings aside and watch it again and see if there are things that I've missed throughout the episode. Because the season, I watched those episodes multiple times. That final episode, I ain't watching that shit again. And Ruby have the TLJ flashbacks. Clarence loved Mel in the episodes. Oh, you said Ruby gave the TLJ flashbacks. By the way, going back, we still have not seen the Meep's boss yet. The Meep and Rogue, their boss. Yes. So that's another mystery. Okay, thank you. That's another unanswered question. I might get interested. I don't know. This season or this series finale just didn't. What did I say? Series finale? This season finale didn't season finale for me. It wasn't it. I'm waiting until Christmas to get this taste out of my mouth. You know what I mean? Yeah. 40 years in our little linear time, literally hundreds or thousands of years in the scale of the universe. He's hanging on the outside of the TARDIS, coming up with this bullshit plan that still didn't work. You had eons to get this plan right, and it still was a horrible plan. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. Yeah, it was a bad couple of weeks there. But back to Who. This wasn't a stellar finale. It was not. Like I said, I like the lady with the spoon on the other planet, even though it seemed a little bit just out of nowhere. But I liked it because it number one, it fed the machine. Okay. But then number two, it slowed things down a bit. It gave us a chance to breathe and kind of live in the situation we found ourselves in because of Sutekh and his plan working. So the plan worked, and all of these worlds were destroyed, and then the Doctor becomes Death. The Doctor becomes the Destroyer, and he put Sutekh on the leash and took his ass for a walk. And in that walk, it wasn't no loving stroll in the park and we're gonna stop with the pooper scooper and none of that. No, it wasn't none of those things. It was you, sir. You, sir, must die. And the Doctor regrettably had to do it, but he did it. Oh, thank you, Norman. But this wasn't right. The way they did that wasn't. I'm trying to come back home. It wasn't right. You said Maestro through Rogue are a good few random and disconnected episodes. As a season, I think they failed. Yeah, it's the parts were good, but the whole now that we can oh, you said yeah, Devil's Court Maestro. I got what you. But now that we've got the benefit of the whole season we behind us, yeah, it does look like a fail because each one of those episodes, this was a funny season because we had our actors off doing other things, and sometimes we see them, sometimes we don't get as much of a rapport with the doctor and the companion. We got these crazy mystery boxes that one out of two, the Mrs. Flood and the whether it's one out of three because we still got the boss as well. So we got the boss, we got Ruby's mama, and we got who the hell is Mrs. Flood, and we got no answers for two out of three of our mystery boxes. We got more to feed off of for the Mrs. Flood thing, but I don't think we got an answer. I don't think Sutekh was the boss, so if not Sutekh, then who? And it seems because and speaking of I listened to Clarence and them on discussing who, and Lee was saying, well, RTD said that we weren't going to see past villains. But what he said is that we weren't going to see past new Who villains. So we didn't see any villains from New Who. He went back to the old stuff. And, I guess that works when I'm wondering if, because you guys are going to know far more than I do, I'm wondering if that is the way he's going to carry on moving forward. Is he going to kind of ignore the New Who villains and go back into the past and reach and grab some more of the villains from Who seasons past? And if he does, who could what's her name? Mrs. Flood be? We saw her in the white coat. And she could potentially be what people are saying is the White Guardian. I don't know who the White Guardian is. Is the White Guardian a good guy or a bad guy? Okay, I'm going to read it. The White Guardian is an anthropomorphic personification of order and the counterpart of the Black Guardian, who represents evil. Who represents evil, chaos, and entropy. The two guardians balance out the forces in the universe, although on most occasions the Black Guardian desires to upset the balance of the favor of chaos. Wow, where we are. This thing just jumped on me. While the White Guardian prefers to maintain the status quo and refraining from direct interference. Being as powerful as they are, both guardians exist within all realities, not just one reality, and the effects of their own reality will cause effects within another. So that is who I have been hearing secrets or whisperings about, that Mrs. Flood could be the White Guardian, and she not interfering because this is not her regular. This is not her nature to do that. Justice says, all right. I mean, I agree. There were some good episodes, but yeah, overall it was kind of a letdown. And I love Doctor Who, and I'm very forgiving. Yet you are a good. You have a good heart about giving people room to move, and I like that about it. That's one of the things I like about you. But there are way too many open threads that were misleading. Yeah, I feel intentionally misled. And it yeah, even though this is like an indictment on an audience for getting so far ahead, instead of just enjoying it episode by episode and living in that moment, I'm way down the street trying to think about what's going to happen next and assigning this importance to a character that turned out to be just really nobody. She's just Ruby, unless her daddy is special, which I'm sure we're going to find out next season. Wingray says, but she does say, I had such plans for this world or something that doesn't sound like non-interference. This is true. She did have plans. Mrs. Flood is a bit of a jerk too. She remains a huge mystery. Yeah. Maybe they are waiting. Maybe they are waiting to explain the Ruby/Snow connection at Christmas. Hopefully, hopefully we can get something in that line, because Christmas episodes, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, Christmas episodes are generally a little longer than our regular Doctor Who episodes, so they have a little bit more time to play around with. Maybe they can give us an answer to the Ruby/Snow shit that's going on. Whether or not that would have anything to do with her father, since her mother is not anybody paranormal or anything. Maybe we find out that her father is somebody. And what else? What other question? I don't remember. It was one other thing that I thought not, and it wasn't Mrs. Flood. I don't expect to get any answer about Mrs. Flood. Don't expect to get answers about the boss. Maybe we'll get an answer about the boss in the Christmas episode, and then that will be something that carries on through the next season of Doctor Who. It's just really, it's really hard to tell, huh? Justice says it's okay to be misled if they have a very great payoff. Yeah. Even if you don't line up that many Easter eggs and don't expect for people to follow them. So now when we follow the Easter eggs and got all invested in the story, RTD is sitting back somewhere laughing like, look at them. They made it. They're doing everything we thought they were going to do. It's kind of like what the MCU does, but the MCU is doing this in 2-hour movies, and we're getting 8 hours of Doctor Who, and we didn't get, and I'm saying 8 hours, and I'm being generous, and we didn't get a resolution. So there's that. It could still be Nick Frost. I could be right, and I don't remember Nick Frost. I just saw some Star Trek news though, right before I hit this button. And that is that everybody from Strange New Worlds is going to be at that convention in Las Vegas. Nick Frost. Yeah, you keep talking about this damn Santa Claus. You want Santa Claus to be her daddy. Claire says, ooh, good point. Never thought about the father. Yeah. Justice said, it's okay to be misleading. Oh, I read that. If the payoff is very interesting and good, yes, the Christmas episode is a little longer usually. Okay. That's okay, Justin. Claire said, yep, got to stick the landing. And I don't think it happened this episode. I don't think it happened this season. There was a lot that went well. There was so much that I enjoyed, but this final episode wasn't it. We've been hearing rumblings of a unit spinoff. Has anybody got anything solid on that? Because that will be something I'll be interested in too, if we get another spinoff around the unit or whatever. And let me think, is there anything else? Because you see, I'm not even not the least bit excited. This is just meh to me. It was meh. On my regular 5-point scale, I should have listened to, who was it last week? They gave him 4 out of 5 because it was like, we got to see what happens next week. I think Miss Powell again, I believe. I should have listened to Miss Powell and just said I'm not gonna give it nothing, because last week I was all gushing and giving it a 5, and this week I'm not feeling it. This I think a 3, and I'm being generous with the 3 because I think the legend of Ruby Sunday was going to be a big part of what made this season stellar, great, and they just fumbled. If you ask me. Now, Norman is saying Bad Wolf was a good mystery box, I think, because it was so simple. Contrast that with all the flux boxes. I don't even remember the flux boxes, but guess what? I remember Bad Wolf. And it could be because it is a mystery box, but it was something simple that I could wrap my mind around. It didn't take a whole lot of explaining to make it make sense. It was there damn near the whole season. It was there. It was showing you, I'm here, Bad Wolf. And, by the time the season ended, I felt satisfied with that. But this one, that's just nah. I don't know, but because I don't know if the flux boxes, was Jody, or Jody or Capaldi, because I didn't see the end of the Capaldi run and I didn't see any of the Jody run. Episode 3 out of 5, season 4 out of 5. I can agree with both. Yeah. And no official word on the unit or the date. Norman is giving it a 3 for the episode, 4 for the season, and I will always call it the 14th of Modern Who. Okay, I'm going to have to remember. I like that better than New Who. Wingray says, it also feels, hey, Miss Powell, I've been singing your praises, girl. But Wingray says, it also feels like an intentional cheat to show us that they couldn't find the mother's DNA on Earth, only to say, well, it won't be on record until the 2040s. Yep. And nobody could find her. We were all in a different time on a different planet, and we couldn't even determine what she was. Remember the ambulance on not Pacifica del Rio, on that boom planet? Miss Powell is giving the season a 4 out of 5. Yep, should have waited, girl. You said it last week. I should have listened. You said, I'm gonna wait till next week, see if they stick the landing. And I was like, well, I really love this episode 5. And now I'm like, womp, womp. You don't have DNA on file. But if somebody was to, because only prisoners have that, and I agree. But if somebody was to still swipe some skin cells and run a DNA test, they should be able to track your ancestry through that, not through it being on file, just simply because somebody else would have possibly been on file. I hope not, but there are people who are on file, or they have done that ancestry or the DNA test to see their genealogy. Then I should be able to say, oh yeah, this is a human, and this human is related or may have come from here, and we've got several of their distant relatives here. We got Ruby Sunday, nothing. A big old blank, nothing. The ambulance should have known it was a plot hole. Yes. The ambulance should have at least been able to say what she was. It couldn't say anything. Wingray says, I think they've said 1/3 of Earth is on file now because of the DNA testing kits. Mm-hmm. Because even if, especially before we learned some of the pitfalls of doing those genealogy tests and the looking for your ancestry through that, some of the pitfalls, at least one of the pitfalls, is that if you do have a person who isn't on file but should be on file, you basically just ratted them out with your DNA. But then there's also the fact that they say that they own Now that you have given them the DNA to do this and this, the fine print will read that they own this DNA, not you, but your DNA sample. That is theirs now. It's no longer yours. You don't have any rights over what happens to this. And Henrietta lacks anyone. These kinds of things can happen. They have happened in the past. They will happen now, but that's a whole different story. I need to talk about that on Sinister Silhouettes, because that's a deep mystery, conspiracy type deal. Miss Powell said, if their mom didn't use Ancestry, why would they have it? I haven't used it, but the ambulance took her DNA. So if anybody in her lineage used the DNA test or had a DNA sample on file anyway, not the prison type file, we talking just on regular, we did a DNA test or any of that, then you should be able to reach back and get at least a distant relative and be able to tell where a person hails from. They couldn't tell anything with Ruby. Or is it because she didn't exist yet, because she hadn't been born yet, so there wouldn't be, and maybe her mama hadn't been born yet because her mama was only 15. Now I'm thinking this through. The mama was only 15. It's still too many what ifs, and I got to jump through too many proverbial hoops to make it make sense that there is no way that this ambulance would know how to could read her DNA and at least even just give you a region, Okay, so the ambulance said that she had no next of kin in the far future. Her birth parents would be dead. That makes sense to me, I think. And that's why I haven't done that. Yeah, I haven't done it either, but I'm not to say that I hadn't been tempted before I looked further into what was going on, what they could do with that. I'm like, they not slick. They're getting us one way or the other, but you're not gonna get me like that. And if you put the real answer in the fine print, you're not gonna get me with that one. Now, you might get me with something else, but you weren't gonna get me with that one. Oh gosh. So yeah. I agree. Season 4 out of 5, episode 3 out of 5. Did y'all already talk about Mrs. Flood wearing companion clothes? She had on an outfit like Clara. Now, we talked about the outfit like Clara last week. And at the end, Mrs. Flood was wearing a cloak like Ramona from Tom Baker's run. Now, see, I was talking about a theory that I had heard about her being the White Guardian, but now you have put it together with another companion. Here's my question about that, though. What would she have meant when she said, I had such plans? Because Clarence brought that up earlier today. Could she, we talked earlier today about you hitting the nail on the head, Mrs. Powell, with the memory TARDIS. We talked about a lot, but I do want to pick your brain about the Mrs. Flood mystery, because the other mystery just was a disappointment for me. But this mystery still has it still got legs. It's got a pulse. She called the doctor a clever boy like Clara. So who is she? Is she White Guardian? Is she the Ronnie? Is she something else? What is she? Now you'll make me see that will give me enough interest to go back and just I'll watch the first 7 episodes, but that last episode just but I'll watch it again just to try to catch on to every time Miss Flood may have said it. And it's only a couple episodes that she would be in, right? Every time she said something that could circle around back to her being having some knowledge of the companions and it seems like trying to stoke his memory, Why would you wear that outfit? Why are you dressing like this? And it's so clearly obvious that you are to people who know, because it wasn't clearly obvious to me. Let's put that straight. Then a clear thing, maybe I would have caught that. Maybe if I'd have watched it a couple more times, I might have caught that. I did not catch this coat because I don't know the Tom Baker run, and I don't remember the other characters that these people are saying that she could potentially be. I mean, she could potentially be anybody. Hell, she might be me in Doctor Who universe. I don't know, but but she's definitely there. They did the same thing this season. They led us down these blind paths, and we went willingly, and then we got disappointed. Some of us, many of us, a lot of us, in the end. And here we are now. The White Guardian was during the Key of Time in the Fourth Doctor run. As a kid, I don't remember liking either Guardian, even though the Black Guardian was quote unquote evil. So I just read the description of who the White Guardian was, because I didn't know who she is, or he or she, because it says they could be either, could be whatever they want to be. But yeah. So it's basically a person who was just and I don't know how to put it. Like, instead of assigning them evil or good, they're just a person, and they serve a purpose, and they do their purpose, and that's it. And whether their purpose may be good, like the White Guardian, she's not supposed to be good. She's just a person, right? I don't know. Technically, Clara isn't alive. She's preserved in the moment before her death. So technically, she probably couldn't be killed by Sutekh. So Sutekh is she's not alive. She's preserved in the moment before her death. So Sutekh couldn't do nothing to her either. So I don't know. Look, don't make my head hurt. We go I don't know what we're gonna do with Doctor Who. We're gonna just put it on the back burner until Christmas time, unless something of importance comes up between now and then, and even now, even if something of importance, if it's not something majorly important, I won't do a live stream. If it's just slightly important, it'll be a video. If it's majorly important, we're gonna stop everything and do a live stream. But Doctor Who pretty much is like meh. And Norman said, well, then there is also me and Jack Harkness / Bo. So yeah, I don't know what we're talking about here. I know the people. I don't know where we were going. My mind just went someplace else. I told you before we get off here, my babies are all breaking out with something all over, and we trying to figure out what this is. So, you talk about a mystery box. I got a mystery box waiting for me right there in the living room. The cat. I remember that. The face of Bo died with the cat aliens. I remember that. And so yes, it's been fun hanging out with you guys for this season of Doctor Who. Miss Powell, missed you. Norman, I had missed you so much. I'm so glad you guys came and hung out with us this season. Hopefully, God willing, we will be here next season. We'll be here for Christmas, and then we'll be here next season to do this all over again. We just gonna sit here and age. Oh yes, but with what Sutekh was doing, yeah. Thank you, girl. I'm gonna go in there and see what's going on. She'll be back for Lower Decks. Hopefully we will be here. We will be here, and I will be ready to talk some Trek for Lower Decks. It's always fun. So, with all that, thanks a lot. I will see you guys in the next stream, whatever that might be. Peace.